cars. We keep hearing that they are the future. Germany is keen to get a leg up and today began debating legislation that will regulate driverless cars once they hit the roadways. But are we ready for this technology? My next guest is not so sure. Ken Monroe is a car hacker and an IT security expert at the company Pentest. Ken, thanks for being with us this evening on The Day. Let's start at the beginning. Are driverless cars safe?
Well, to my mind, I don't really think they are. I'm sure many of your viewers have got connected vehicles that they can control with a mobile app. But as soon as we start taking the driver out of the vehicle, if someone hacks it, you've got all sorts of problems. You know, when there's a driver there, maybe they can, if it gets hacked, they can take the wheel or switch it off or grab the emergency brake. But if it's autonomous and there's no driver and someone hacks it, now you have a weapon.
Okay, what needs to happen to make these safe? Because the technology, we are told, is coming. It's on its way.
You know, it's coming. So I'm sure many of your viewers will be familiar with the idea of a cellular application that you can use to control your vehicle. And I've got one of our research cars parked just here, and hopefully this will work. And you can see you can turn the lights on and off, sound the horn, lock and unlock the doors. But this particular vehicle we were looking at, it didn't do security of the Wi-Fi connection between the cell phone and the vehicle very well. So we found we could turn off the theft alarm over Wi-Fi. So if we can't get connected cars right, how do we get autonomous vehicles right? And now you take away the driver, we've got some real concerns.
Yeah, indeed, you raised some good points. But how hard is it, Ken, to hack a car? I mean, surely that's above the capability of the average person.
Well, I wish it were. So manufacturers of vehicles for many years have been concerned about safety, quite rightly so. So when you press the brake pedal, the car stops. But increasingly, we're seeing them offer more functionality, so more gadgets, more connectivity. And along the way, I think security has been overlooked. And only now we're starting to see manufacturers wake up and realize that actually security is really important. So people like us, other people maybe trying to make the vehicle more powerful, trying to modify it, they're all starting to look at the vehicles and realizing they're really not as secure as they should be.
Well, security concerns are one thing, and of course, no one wants to have an accident on the road. But there are also privacy concerns about connected and driverless vehicles. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, so most vehicles nowadays will have a SIM card and a GSM module in the vehicle, used for maybe pushing updates or passing data. And when you think about it, the vehicle manufacturer has got access to all that information. Now, I hope they use it for the right reasons, but they could, if they wanted to, track you in real time, see where you were, track your driving habits, maybe even start gathering information about accidents and gathering telemetry and information about where you were driving too fast, were you paying attention, were your hands on the wheel. So lots of really interesting data that if used in the wrong way could really invade our privacy.
Yeah, it's certainly data that insurance companies would be quite keen to get their hands on, I imagine, to know, were you actually only going 60 when you blew through that school district or what have you? What do we know about how insurance companies are using that data, Ken?
Well, there's very little of that data getting to insurance companies right now, as far as I'm aware. I believe most of it goes to the manufacturers. But imagine the data that insurers could see, how much, they could see your behavior in real time, whether you asked or not. They could see whether there was a passenger in the seat next to you or there wasn't. They could see if you were speeding or running a red light. That information would be very, very valuable. And I'm sure, some will see it as a benefit because, yeah, you drive well. We can see that your insurance premium is less. But what about someone who doesn't want to participate? Are they, by definition, a bad risk, or are they just trying to guard their privacy?
Okay, so what advice would you have for a consumer who says, I'm not okay with this, but I also enjoy some of the features that come with these connected vehicles? What should they do?
Well, if you want functionality, usually with functionality comes security concerns. So if you want a cell phone app to work with your vehicle, that's going to have Bluetooth potentially, Wi-Fi, GSM connections, all these things that hackers can potentially start to take advantage of. So the more functionality your car's got, then the more attack surface, the more profile, the more the attackers can play with. So I'd be quite concerned about just how much functionality you add to your vehicle.
All right, be careful what you wish for. As I mentioned earlier, though, the German government today started debating some regulations for these cars, how to go about getting them on the road, what sort of rules. What advice would you have for lawmakers when it comes to trying to regulate this?
That's a great question. So there was a paper published recently by the UK government, and they were dealing with the issues around insurance. So who's liable in the event of an autonomous vehicle crashing? Is it the driver? Well, there isn't one. Is it the software manufacturer? Is it the auto manufacturer? And there was a really interesting point made in the UK paper about potentially a driver of an autonomous vehicle, so someone sat in it, the owner, but the car's driving itself. If that vehicle's software wasn't kept up to date by the owner, potentially the owner wasn't insured. So when you're going out to get in your vehicle, you've got to remember, your phone, your car keys, but also you've got to remember to patch your car. And I don't know about you, I don't always remember to patch my phone, let alone patch my car.
Yeah, and I can see behind you, you've got some toys also. It seems there are lots of things in our lives that are vulnerable to hacking when you really get down to it.
Well, as you probably see on the shelf there, that's my friend Kayla. That's actually been, you might be aware, it's been banned in Germany now. It's been deemed illegal by the telecommunications regulator, which is great. But we're amazing. We're finding the same sort of problems in toys like this for children as we're finding in vehicles like this. The same broad principles of security apply, and we're not seeing it done properly yet.
All right, hackable devices and cars all around us. We'll have to talk more about what needs to be done another day. Ken Monroe, he's a security expert and an ethical hacker over at Pentest in the UK. Thanks so much for your time this evening.